Hello, I am Nimja, and this is Nimja Live, April 2023, with the theme, A Night in the Jungle. Hello everyone. Before I begin, as always, I'd like to thank the continued support of my patrons and donators that continues to surprise and amaze me. I'd also like to thank all of you for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and otherwise engaging with my content. It's also really nice to hear all those kind of suggestions that you may or may not have posted. For anyone who is new to this, the structure of a Nimja Live is at first, after the intro, we discuss the theme. Then, at about a quarter past, the actual trance will begin, and one of my assistants will post a message in the chat to let you know when the trance has begun and when it has ended. During the trance, I switch the chat to members only and politely ask people to remain quiet. Let me see. At the moment, there are no special announcements. I will update the live page with the dates for the Wales conference later this year. And I believe that Hyde will be repeated next year as well. It was a big success a couple of weeks ago. Let me see. I believe everything is working correctly. And just in time indeed. I'm glad that we are all here. So, tonight's live, like every other month, is a gentle live. That means that we do not include any naughty or kinky suggestions. So, for a night in the jungle. Yes, I actually have a new camera, which should be higher quality than what you're used to as well. So you can see my eyes really well. It also means that I will feel even more self-conscious than normal about how I look on camera. Anyway, to discuss the theme. So, A Night in the Jungle. Now, I do not want to make this a sleep file. I was thinking more of an exploration kind of thing. So, what shall we explore? And thank you for all the compliments. Climbing time. It's not a mountain, but I'll consider it. Tigers, hidden temple. Do I want to include a hidden temple? A trail of fireflies. Somehow I associate fireflies more with like forest rather than jungle. Definitely a lot of plants. Maybe tigers or other big cats. I mean, a black panther or a jaguar would be quite cool. Little critters in rain pools. That's actually kind of cute. In rain pools. Swinging vines. Oh, climbing on trees and swinging between them. I'm not sure if you're getting the a night part, because while indeed swinging in the jungle seems like a really cool idea, doing that at night feels like it's asking for trouble. Artifacts in the jungle. Bright frogs. flowers, vibrant flowers. I do like the idea of vibrant flowers, especially if we have some kind of light source that we take with us. Watch out for that tree. Considering the jungle tends to be quite dense, I don't think moonlight would go all the way down. Lanterns, on the other hand, would work. Snakes, ooh. Maybe I will consider that a snake. By the way, for anyone unaware, I'm still using this lovely pen that was sent to me. A river. Oh, a river could be nice. And of course, like it was meant, it's very humid and damp. In the jungle. Bioluminescent mushrooms. I use like bioluminescence and glowing things quite often in caves. I will consider it. A lantern. Spores. Waterfall. And no, I'm not going to do any spiders or other insects. You might hear insects like crickets, like things, but... Oh, that's an interesting point. It's never silent. Because there's dripping, there's like leaves, animals, cicadas. Ooh, I like that idea. Exploring to find a specific flower. That's a lovely motivation. If anyone is familiar with the Caravan Palace song, it's not going to be that kind of flower. All right. Yeah, if the jungle is silent, you're in trouble. The sensory approach. Blue flower, red thorns. Towering trees. Yeah, maybe the temperature would be slightly better. I don't think the temperature changes that much. All right. I mean, yes, it would be cooler at night. Natives playing drums. Not at night. I like the idea of looking for a flower. Monkeys. Well, one would hope that you go at night so most animals are asleep. Speckles of moonlight. And there are possibly more nocturnal. Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see. Anyway, I think I have enough. So for now, please get yourself ready. Oh, I do like the idea of animals distracting you. I will write that down. And I might include a little bit of tension with like eyes in the dark. Secondly, I noticed lights dancing through the canopy. That has been written down from another suggestion as well. Can we have a double wake up at the end? We will see. There we go. There we go. So please get yourself into a trance-like position. Keep your hands and legs inside the trance at all times. And make sure that if you have any treasured possessions, you put them aside before the rite begins. All right, are we ready? Also, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but I bought myself a proper microphone stand. So now I can actually move the microphone in 3 dimensions. Dun dun dun. With relative ease. All right, I am about to switch the chat. I hope you're in a comfortable position and you have suitable hydration for afterwards. And just for the record, I did have a microphone stand before, but now I have an arm rather than just a tripod. All right, click. There we go. Members only mode is on. Then we have to switch this here and that there. Okay. Testing, testing. There we go. It helps if everything works together. Let's begin. Hello, I am Nimja, and this is Nimja Live, a night in the jungle. The jungle is a very intense place, with towering trees, a canopy that covers everything, and a ground that is at times very hard to navigate. Even during the day, it is a place where you have to watch your step, both where you place your feet as well where you go to. close your eyes and imagine yourself in such a place, having traveled there for a while and simply exploring with all the suitable gear and clothing you need, all the guidance to be in the right place with the right equipment. And you're there for a reason. There is something that you need to find. It's a flower, a very beautiful, delicate flower. And it can only be found in the area that you are in now. And it only blooms at night. Ideally with the full light of the moon. As such, it is surprisingly difficult to find during the day. So there's no other option than to go there is no other option but to go explore later. Of course, you take some time to relax. You mentally have to prepare for the journey. Maybe you even sleep a little. You prepare by learning about the routes that you're planning to go to. But when all is said and done, it comes down to this moment. The middle of the night, well past midnight. The moon high above the trees. Slow, subtle specks of light sometimes reaching through, but mostly it is dark. However, far from silent, there is so much sounds, an almost constant stream of little drips and drops all around you, leaves that seem to bend and flex in the endless cavalcade of little drips and drops. All those many expressions of sounds are added to by, well, quite a few creatures. Some of them small with intense sounds both close and far. Others, you hope it is in the distance where you hear a growl of something catching something else. After you've stood still for a while, you also realize that the scents are quite intense. The ever damp ground, the many smells of creatures and plants alike, not to mention all the various fungi that grow here as well, many of them hidden in cracks and crevices, beneath roots and underneath rocks. After you've taken your time adjusting, you light a small lantern. It's a simple electric lantern, very quiet. You can adjust the brightness how you like it so your eyes don't get too used to the light. And it gives a strange perspective. With the light this soft, it is nowhere near strong enough to reach to the top of these giant trees. It's as if you are merely a small light in a giant forest. It is important to feel comfortable, because the more comfortable you feel, the more you'll be left alone. Once your eyes get more used to the soft light, you begin to notice that some of the plants reflect the light in unusual ways. There are some parts of the plant that are more reflective or more colorful than others. So in the soft light, their vivid, vibrant colors stand out all the more. It is time to begin looking. Your footsteps are far from quiet. No matter how hard you try, each step sounds so loud despite all the other sounds. But it's okay. As you get used to it and feel more comfortable, you begin to head to where you think the flower grows. Now, of course, the jungle does not have many points of interest. Very few markers that you can navigate by. And you knew where you had to go first. It was a relatively short walk to the river, and it was easy to recognize it in the dark. Compared to the absolute darkness between the trees where only your light and the tiniest suggestion of moonlight could shine, the river was positively glimmering with reflecting moonlight. A silvery sheen that looks almost magical. The never-ending flow creating enough tiny waves to let the light of the moon create beautiful shimmering surfaces. And of course the sound of the river allows you to recognize it so easily. It is here where you had to change your direction. Follow the river for a little while until you reached the rock. In the light of the moon, these rocks looked even more mysterious than during the day. Each crevice creating a deep shadow that contrasted starkly against the light that shone on it. Even with your little lantern, the rocks continued to look incredibly ominous, even though you knew they were merely rocks. The way they've been eroded and shaped by weather over thousands of years still created an unusual tapestry of light and dark. For this was no time to be fascinated by stone. You were looking for something much more alive. As you continued deeper back into the jungle, trying not to let yourself get too distracted by the many drips and drops all around you, some more loud than others, often accompanied by a little impact on the many pools on the ground, leaves acting as no more than temporary redirects for the never-ending rain. Not long after the stone you sought, not that long after the stones you thought you saw some eyes in the darkness, reflecting the light of your lantern in that way that only cat-like creatures do. That shimmering from the back of their eyes, bright dots in the darkness. It appeared to observe you for a few seconds before clearly moving away as you heard rustling. It knew better. You stopped for a little while before you moved onwards, making sure that the creature did not circle around. You knew you were close. You knew you were close, so you dimmed your lantern almost to nothing. It was difficult to focus. Your movement slowing down, careful not to stand on anything that made too much noise. You were trying to see, to find the flower, but there was a scent more sweet than anything else, something unusual that directed you slightly to the left. And as you followed your instincts, as you followed this strange scent, you finally saw it. Even in this absence of light, the flower appeared shimmering of its own accord, almost glowing from the inside. You had a container with you that would make it possible to carefully take the flower, and you knew you could only take one. You opened and focused on the simple task, very carefully helping the flower into your container. The closer you were to it, the tinier it felt. You knew there had to be more than one, but you also knew you could not take more. As you close the lid, you could still see the flower inside your container glowing, a soft light that was very easy to see, yet didn't appear to give off as much as it should. When you held your lantern nearer, it seemed like just another piece of moss or something else. But the less light there was, the more it appeared to shine. Some part of you knew that you could never find this again, and that this one journey here was special. Maybe you'd be allowed to come back, not quite here, but some other place nearby, whenever you needed to find something, some part of you again. And the more you relaxed, the more you opened up, the easier it would be to find. Who knows what was truly in the container besides some earth? You took your time finding your way back to the stone, the river, the path that you knew. You tried not to rush, but at the same time you knew that you didn't want to push your luck into walking around the jungle too long at night. It had been good to you. Close to your base, you could turn off the lantern for a little while again and stand there with a hand on one of the trees, becoming part of this night in the jungle. You knew that you'd completed your task and that everything would be okay. When you went back to your tent to sleep, I wonder what your last thoughts were as you drifted for a moment. And let the adventure sink in deep. And once it is time to awaken again, you'll be all the way back. And I'm sure that you'll have taken something special that you wanted to find back with you. 1, 2, slowly waking. 3, 4, more aware. 5, 6, almost there. 7, 8, almost awake. And 9, 10, wake. And welcome back from your journey. Now, give me one moment. There we go. All right. I think that is all. Let me switch back the chat. And there we go. And let's make sure that everything is stored correctly. And a second set of waking just for whoever wants it. 1, 2, slowly waking. 3, 4, more aware. 5, 6, almost there. 7, 8, almost awake. And 9, 10, wake. I don't think there was any amnesia in it. But it was a very sweet file. And I'm glad you guys went very deep. Sanft. Apparently more people have found out that word. So, and hello everyone. Calista asks, different lighting this time. It's a different camera as well. So I'm still experimenting a little bit with the setup in my new house, but I bought a new camera to like upgrade to some like more helpful things. So in general, like you might notice some small changes over the next few lives as I figure things out. And Eternal Fancy asks, obligatory dinner question, too much sushi? An official Moose of Canada asked, would you go camping in the jungle? It depends on where. I would prefer not to mess with the jungle more than is needed. Like, it's something that I would be careful with. Mahu asks, have you seen or do you plan to see the D&D movie? Which one? There's many. I have seen the one with Jeremy Irons in it, which is hilarious. With Jeremy Irons as Profion. Which only makes sense if you've seen this really old movie. It's incredibly terrible but hilarious because of it. I probably will see it eventually. Eternal Fancy asks, do you prefer cabin camping or tent camping? I'm fine with both. Emily asks, so fun facts can be a lot of pressure. So, what's a boring fact about yourself? I like reading. Mourning asks, have you played Minecraft? Many, many, many hours and times. Unleash the Fair asks, what's the last thing you read? I am reading a webcomic at the moment. Emily F. asks, I'd like to make an audiobook someday. Any tips on audio recording? Yes, on learn.nimja.com, I actually have tips on like how to make your own file and some audio recording tips. Mowgli asks, has the camera setup changed? Yes, I have a new webcam, and yes, it is closer and sharper. Saki asks, what is your opinion on soup? It is a form of meal. Saya asks, have you played the open beta of Diablo 4? Nope. I am also not planning to play Diablo 4 anytime soon. I prefer companies that treat their developers well. And Becca asks, do you like Greek mythology? Yes, I actually enjoy most mythologies. Mythologies are really interesting. They're basically very important fairy tales. Official Moose of Canada asks, what is the last hypnosis audio you listened to? The one I was editing. And by the way, on soup, I actually do think that soup is a really nice meal, especially when you're not feeling well. Plus, it's really fun to use it for, like, if you have breads, especially French breads, to dip in it. There's a light change from your right side. Like this one? And yes, I like Norse mythology as well. From Asgard to Midgard. In fact, I believe that I make a reference to the world tree in one of my files from not too long ago. Morniang asks, when playing D&D, are you usually the DM? Not always. I actually quite like being a player as well. And as for player class, I like changing things. So, anything from a warrior to a druid to a bard. Shagua says, oh, you should do a mythology adventure. Well, so I am very, very careful with any kind of content that is either copyrighted or sensitive some other way. I have done a Greek, like, sort of mythology adventure thing, and I'm very careful with things like that. Emily asks, since this file was so sensory, what is a texture or sound you cannot stand? I am not so fond of wearing wool and sound. It depends. Like, in general, I don't like loud sounds that much. Mowgli asks, what's your favorite kind of box in a practically everyday practicality sense? What about in a kinky sense? I mean, if you're talking about a box for, like, keeping things in, then food containers are very practical. Angelic Dirt asks, can you touch your tongue to your nose? I cannot. Every time you lift your right hand, you go black and white for a moment. Oh, yeah. That's a weird feature of my camera. I'll have to figure that out. It seems to be a white balancing issue. I'll work on that. I'm not actually going black and white. It's just like weird white balance stuff. Jay Foxfish asks, what is the longest you've ever grown your hair? Quite long, actually. Long enough for a tail. But that was quite long ago. Annelies de Fer asks, how do I find a pop filter like yours that the camera can see through? It depends on your type of microphone. This is a metal pop filter, which is a very good one from Rode, which is also the brand of the microphone and the brand of my arm. The microphone arm, not my physical body arm. That one is Nimja branded, or at least Nimja property. Mao Cat asks, soft bread or bread with a crust? Both. Mastermind asks, when you are recording, do you imagine yourself talking to a subject? No, I don't imagine myself doing that. More than 2 arms have been Nimja branded property. Ha. That is one way to see it. Actually, I don't know if it would be practical to be animated in a 2-dimensional way. Mowgli asks, if you were a cartoon character, what kind of cartoon would that be? Probably something with some evil hypnotist villain or something. Falcon asks, been on any nice walks recently? Yeah, I had a nice walk through a park. It was a little rainy at the time, but it was nice. I also had a nice walk in the forest, actually. Official Moose of Cat asks, have you met any local neighbor cats since you moved? Yes, there's Car Cat. This will only make sense to 1 or 2 people. Eternal Fantasy asks, opinion on sheep? Sheep have no opinion. Katrine asks, what time is it for you right now? If you are in Scandinavia, which I assume, it is the same time as you, which is 10:48 p.m. Emily asks, what is the most memorable thing a stranger has said to you, if you can remember? If you can't remember, it wasn't memorable. The most memorable thing is a thing that a stranger said to me about their language and our language. I'm not going to repeat it here. It has to do with the Dutch greeting, to anyone remembering the story. Becca asks, what is the first happy memory that pops into mind in response to this? Well, if I go with popping, then some kind of hypnosis thing related to thoughts popping away. Falcondo asks, opinion on munches? If we're talking about food, go ahead. If we're talking about meetups, go ahead. Munches are generally like a nice thing. Just check out who organizes it. Official Moose asks, I asked this at a thing yesterday and people liked the question. What is an object you have that is important to you and what is the story behind it? Well, I am currently speaking to you through a microphone. This is the second microphone that I bought specifically for hypnosis. The first microphone was a Samsung Go mic, which was a tiny microphone, but it was a USB microphone with decent quality. And I bought that microphone from donation money. This microphone, which is significantly more expensive, and also the arm and the pop filter and everything, I also bought from Patreon money. And as silly as it is, it's a way for myself to remind me how special it is that people have supported me for this silly thing that I just like doing. Because I don't do this as my main income. It's something completely extra, and I'm very happy that I can do this. I have many objects in my house that I find important, but this one is very relevant to the situation. Emily F. asks, what textures and sounds are you fond of? I quite like most natural instruments, like guitar, harp, piano, even a lot of drums, as long as they're like natural drums. And textures, like good cotton is just really lovely. And I have a carpet that's especially nice. J. Foxface asks, when was the last time you got really messy/dirty, and why? The last time is probably when I was cleaning a roof. Mowgli asks, your favorite part of doing laundry? When they're done. It's just, it's very satisfying to have the laundry all folded and, ready. I mean, cinnamon rolls are nice. I like simple snacks. I'm also, happy with just apples. Annalise de Fair asks, what is especially nice about the carpet? I am not saying. It is a mystery that only a few people know the answer to. Muhahaha. Becca asks, is there anyone you'd really like to meet? Oh, there's a few people that I'd like to meet. Morning asks, have you ever had pets, the animal kind? Perhaps. Emily asks, favorite slang term? Slung. This is a terrible pun that doesn't make any sense. Saki asks, have you ever been to a jungle before? No, I don't think. I have never not been to a proper tropical forest, but I've basically, I've been close by. Moose of Canada asks, does your carpet match your drapes? Yes and no. Falcondo asks, what language would you instantly be able to speak given the option? I speak most of the languages I would like to. An official Moose of Canada, you knew perfectly well I was going to read and answer the question, especially if you put that in front of it. Although it only works once. Newt asks, have you ever made pizza at home? Many times. I really like designing my own pizzas. The best base of a pizza that I found is, let me think, it was pesto and it was not crème fraîche, but something similar. Morning asks, what is your favorite bloodline in Vampire the Masquerade? Malkavian, obviously. The Tremere are pretty cool, but the Malkavian are just cooler. Mao Cat asks, do you have a favorite Pokemon? Meow. Emily asks, any song you like to put on repeat? No, I prefer to have like variation of songs. By the way, I do agree that the Nosferatu are really cool because they are hackers, but come on, Malkavian. Well-written Malkavian are always the most interesting part of any story. Mokali asks, hand movements, please? Please don't actually give us hand movements. Okay. I won't give you any hand movements. Eternal Fancy asks, do you enjoy musicals? Do a dear. And yes. And I think most people are very well aware that I might be slightly teasy. Remember to wake. At some point, I should install like a crystal that I can lower on demand into view. Official Moves of Canada asks, do you prefer to musical notes by letter names or their solveig? I think... Ooh, yeah, mostly letter names. Jay Foxfish asks, what are your thoughts on superfine glitter? You know perfectly well that I do not allow glitter. Especially if it is not biodegradable. If you do any glitter, it has to be biodegradable. Annalise de Fer asks, I know you don't necessarily say your favorite, but what is a subject reaction you really enjoy? Blushing. Maritale Littlefoot asks, has 2023 felt as challenging in the Netherlands as in most other countries so far? I don't think so. I think we've been doing okay. Katrina asks, have you ever watched hypnosis movies about hypnosis and been like, that's not how it works? I've been a nerd all my life, and every time I see hacking in a movie, there's only 1 or 2 movies where they do it properly. Every other movie... By the way, that is The Matrix 2, like The Matrix Reloaded, is the only movie where hacking is properly shown. The rest is all like, look at this cool 3D effect as we travel through space and time. I have now hacked your computer. So yeah, same with hypnosis. Also, yes, I can do some things with my pen if I want to, but... let me... How can I easily show this? I have to get used to this. And key smashing in movies. Yeah, well, there's a very fun website about that as well. Callista asks, ever just say, I'm in, for fun at work? Not very often, but I think once or twice it has been said. Glitter has a place. Unfortunately, that place is everywhere. And this is why there's biodegradable glitter, because it will disappear. Actually, I'm in is a very terrible that's what she said variant. Katie asks, how do you like your marshmallows? golden brown and with like a very nice soft inside if you're doing them on a campfire. Not black. Golden brown. And at least the Ferris, have you ever had real s'mores? No. Mahoket asks, golden brown, texture like sun? Weighs me down, with my mind she runs. Nunut asks, milk chocolate or dark chocolate for hot cocoa? Dark is nice. Let me see. Oh, Mastermind asks, thoughts on Christopher Nolan movies? Oh, they can be enjoyable. Mao Cat asks, pigeons or seagulls? Yes, they are both rats with wings. They are the cleanup crew. Aww. Maita asks, could you say, hush now, little one. For us, please. Yes, I can. Official Moves of Canada asks, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you see the word buns? Bread, punishment, butts, or something else? Most of the time I think of bread. Sayana asks, is there any nice traditional thing for Easter in the Netherlands that you'd like to share with us? I think that Germany has this as well, which is Easter campfires or Easter fires. Bonfires. Easter bonfires. They're quite cool. I haven't actually checked if the city I live in now has them. I should check that. Mokali asks, ideal blanket volume. Plentiful. Callista asks, bread with or without the A? Well, I can tell which one you prefer. Maocat asks, what is your favorite breakfast foods? I am quite partial at the moment to coconut yogurt with krusli. Either that or a simple cereal. Emily F. asks, when was the last time you made a blanket fort? Too long ago. Actually, have I made a blanket fort in my new house yet? Unleashed Affair asks, describe the ideal pillow fort. Inaccessible to naughty people. Shego asks, what is your absolute favorite thing in hypnosis? Flexibility. That basically, like, the imagination is the limit. Mao Cat asks, what question would you ask your audience? Can you think of more interesting questions? Or is that mean? Official Moose of Canada asks, inaccessible to naughty people, why would you want to make a pillow fort you couldn't enter? That's making a lot of assumptions. Also, it depends on the type of naughty. Algorithmic asks, do you have a garden in your new house? No, not inside. I do have a little garden, like, at my new house, but not in. Unleash the Fair asks, do you consider yourself a brat? Tough question. Let me think about that for a while. Katie asks, favorite way to deny someone? Tough question. Let me think about that for a while. Trish asks, can you ride a horse? Yes. Just a Little Me asks, is long hair up or down better? Let me check. I could pull it up, which would feel really nice, but pulling it down is probably nicer. Also awake just in case. Official Moose asks, here's a tough question. Do you consider yourself tough? In general, I consider myself fairly capable at dealing with things. And now I'm a meanie. Tisk, tisk, tisk. You people don't know what you want. Emily F. asks, tips for someone who finds it hard to go into trance. The funny thing is, you probably know how to go into trance very well, but you might struggle with going into trance with someone else or with a specific hypnotist. It will help a lot to have a private session or to have the possibility to do an in-person session, to just, take the time to discover how trance feels to you. Because it's different for everyone, and it's very possible you go a lot deeper than you think. Eternal Fancy asks, have you ever seen a hummingbird? No, but I think I've heard them. And no, they are not native to the Netherlands. Unleash the Fair asks, what are some important things to do in someone's first ever trance session? Discuss consent and subject agency. Maucat asks, would you rather have every single song written by the same person or different songs sung by the same person? Both are kind of restrictive. I'll probably go for the former, but then I'd pick someone with a very large library of music. Mowgli asks, can we hear a perfectly innocent description of a piece of furniture of your choice? Okay. I don't know if this technically counts as a piece of furniture, but every step you just have to go a little bit lower. It's as if you're slowly being deepened into where you want to be all the way. And wake, I mean stairs. Nut asks, is there a song that's been covered that you like better than the original? If so, which? I don't know. The thing is, most of the time, the first version you hear you like the most. It's It's not selection bias. There's a name for that kind of bias where the first thing you hear is like what you base everything else off. Just a Little Me asks, what medium do you feel you are best able to express yourself with? I don't know. I'm quite alright with words, with poetry and writing, but I also quite like sound. Softy asks, what is your favorite thing about springtime? The change from winter to spring. A Mastermind asks, you said hide was very nice. Can you comment a bit more about it? I've done a whole write-up on the site on hypno.nimja.com/live. You can find write-ups on the workshops that I give and the events that I go to. Falcon Doe asks, favorite Johnny Depp film/cameo? I have no idea. He's made a lot of really fun ones. The one he did with Angelina Jolie, about, I think it's called The Tourist. That one was surprisingly fun. Also, Johnny Depp as Hunter S. Thompson was quite good. Yeah, it might be anchoring bias. Katrine asks, does the word moist bother you at all? It does not. Emily asks, what is a niche topic you know a lot about? I don't know what I would call, like, niche where I am knowledgeable. Because, like, I know a fair bit about Monty Python, but I wouldn't call that a niche topic. Or programming, or, like, mythology. Also, the name Moist is used in Discworld for a really fun character. Mokali asks, favorite obscure piece of Star Wars lore? There is a name for the window material that they use. Like, hypnosis is also not that niche because there's so many content and people that are very awesome. David Attenborough would make an amazing jungle trance. And here we observe the natural hypnotist in the jungle. Mao asks, is there a word you don't like purely based on its sound? Ooh, I don't know. Morning asks, which Daedric prince do you like the most or find the most interesting? I don't know all the names of the Daedric princes by heart. I'm sorry to disappoint. I mean, the Insanity one is quite funny. Gravity asks, how long was this file? It was just under 20 minutes. The edited version will probably be 18 something minutes. Shegaroth. Indeed. Yeah, I kind of dislike it when people make up really silly words instead of zombies. Like, it's a little bit different in when zombies have a completely different look, like based on mushrooms or whatever. But if zombies look like dead people, they should be called zombies because everyone knows they're called zombies. Don't call them, like, I don't know, walkers. So let's see. Emily asks, favorite board or card game? I'm quite alright with very simple card games. Like Munchkin is pretty funny. I don't have very big preferences for board games. Katie asks, could you make a silly... And here we have a hypnotist in their natural habitat thing. I don't think I would... I have sort of a narrator induction, but it's a bit different. I don't want to do a silly accent for a file because it wouldn't feel right. It's not something I would do in person. Like, it's okay to be silly, but for a recording, I tend to be more like focused. My apologies. Mokali asks, opinions on baking bread. I'm very happy that people do this. It's sometimes fun to bake bread, but I don't always want to do the effort. And yeah, the Pi Day audio was a very fun one to make and not too difficult either. Just a Little Me asks, some people believe life happens in stages of 7 years. If that were true, what set of 7 years has been your favorite so far? The ongoing one. Mahokat asks, what is your favorite zombie movie? So, there's an old zombie movie. And it has a Australian priest in a graveyard where teens broke in and became zombies, and the priest fights them down and has the rather epic quote of "I kick arse for the Lord" in a very strong Australian accent, and it is amazing. I believe the movie has 2 different names, so I'm not really sure. Iris asks, did you suffer any pranks for April Fools? None. It's been a really quiet April Fools, actually. Even, online. It's not the Velocipaster. It's from a very old movie where the zombies happen because of a monkey that was caught on an island. And it ends with a lawnmower. Yeah, it's Brain Dead, but there's another name for the same movie as well. Emily asks, how long does it usually take between thinking of the concept to uploading for you to make a hypnosis file? Because I improvise stuff just as long as alive, basically. And the thing is, I don't like the most common concepts of pranks. Pranks should confuse and amuse. They should make someone go huh? Oh. They should be entertaining. And indeed, Dead Alive or Brain Dead by Peter Jackson. It's a prank should be something that someone can think back on with a smile and not with annoyance. Please consider this if you ever consider pranking someone. There's a kind of interesting video by Tom Scott about how he pranked one of his friends. And that one was really interesting, and their friend enjoyed it as well. Mowgli asks, could we please have some nice hand movements after all? Asking for a dear friend. I wonder who you're asking it for. Alright. I'm going to do one hand movement. And if you like, you can try to stay awake with it. But I'm just going to... There. And wake. And fully agree, it's bed of dust. There's a very big difference between making someone laugh and making them the butt of a joke. It's the same problem I have with stage hypnosis. Stage hypnosis is entertainment of the audience. And the audience shouldn't be the one having the best time. It should be the one, like, being hypnotized. I will refrain myself from doing more hypnosis things, though. It's about 9 minutes remaining. Annalise asks, is it a good idea to tell you what our favorite hand movements is? I made that into your favorite hand movements. Ooh, Falcondo asks, do you prefer rainy or drizzly walks or sunny walks? I am totally fine with either. It depends very much on the company. And Algorithmic, it might be possible that the priest is from New Zealand. The quote is still epic. And Westlake Angel asks, will you say something sweet? Yes, but you'll have to wait a little bit longer. I'll say something really sweet at the end. So let's see if there are more nice questions. Let me see. Ding, 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 ding. Long lines of text that are not questions. Just Little Me mentions, you know, when you do things like that, the questions stop for a little bit. A great way to change the subject if needed. It does work. Falcondo asks, advice on dealing with dynamic breakups. I don't know what a dynamic breakup is. I think there are two important elements to any kind of loss. It doesn't matter if it's a breakup or a loss or for any other reason. Part one is remember like the good parts of why, if any, you enjoyed the history with them. And the second is if it was your choice, then remember why it was your choice. If it was their choice, respect that. Even if you don't understand it, if there's nothing you can do about it, then accept it and don't try to change it. The best you can do in the situation is be respectful of someone else. Or of fate, in that case. Maokat asks, can you say the word sanft? Yes, I can. Katie asks, do you find using a title for yourself, saying it yourself, weirder or more different than if someone else uses it? Sir doesn't know what to answer to that. No, I tend not to use titles for myself. Other than you, nerd. Katrine asks, favorite color? The clear blue of a winter sky. Annelies asks, what is your favorite way to change the subject? That's a very interesting question. Shego asks, can we please have more teasiness? No. Algorithmic asks, what's the most awkward title you've ever been called? I feel very awkward about more intimate titles without any kind of consent. Saya Kishi asks, okay, what was odd before the live stream? A missing message. Falcon Doe asks, what is the nerdiest thing you've done this week? Break something and fixed it. It was nerdy because it was all in code. Mao Cat asks, odd or even numbers? I think I like even. Isn't that odd? Or maybe I like odd numbers even more. Algorithmic asks, did you break this something intentionally? No, it was not intentional, but it did change the flow of my week somewhat. Sariana asks, would you like to share something that made you smile today? The sun. It was nice. Eternal Fancy asks, have you ever gone birdwatching? Once or twice, actually. It was in an area close to the border of Germany, and it was nice. Just a Little Me asks, do you enjoy puzzles? Emily asks, swear words for me only feel powerful if they are in my first language, but is it the same for you? What language has the most effective swears for you? I actually try to avoid swears. Maybe express myself in sounds. I don't know. I'm quite comfortable with swears both in Dutch and English. Plus, some of the German swear words are quite good as well phonetically. Mokele asks, how long did it take to find out what was broken after you found out that something was broken? Well, when very technical stuff, when releasing something that is high risk, we do active monitoring, so we knew quite quickly that something was wrong, so we reverted it, and then we tried to recreate the same problem in a not like public environment. Katie asks, what are some fun things you've done at dungeons? Well, at one point, someone asked me if I had brought a toy along. And I did, just not in the way that they were expecting it. And I wasn't going to use it until they guessed what it was. That was fun. Katrine asks, do your close friends/family know you're a hypnotist? Yes. Live user says, I've made a live, finally. You're about 1 minute away from the live ending. Mao Cat asks, the best kind of noodle? Tasty ones. Sayan asks, is it weird that I have a hard time transing in my first language, but no problem in English? Any idea how that could happen? Conditioning. Also, your native language is not that nice to hypnotize in. It sounds very awkward. All right, last question. Make it good. Can we have an even amount of warm words, please? I am not going to count all my warm words, especially because generally I say a multitude of words. But it is a nice question. Elena asks, favorite book? Discworld is probably still among my favorites, which is not a book but a series, but they're really good. All right, so I will do some nice ending words. Thank you. Thank you for being here, for supporting me, for interacting with the things that I make. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you for the time that you spent both listening and maybe reacting, inspiring me, or giving ideas. Thank you for doing your best to be a good person. I know that if you listen to me, that you also want to be a good person. And it doesn't mean doing what I say, it means trying to do the right thing. Because I'm also just a person. I make mistakes and I do my best to learn. Don't take my words for granted. But maybe I can be an inspiration by also doing the right thing. I hope you have an amazing time. And that any hardships that you may face will resolve themselves smoothly. Thank you for your time, for your attention, and for your smile. This was Nimja Live.